Hi guys, we are back for round two. I feel like I need a glove. Ooh, one left. One glove left. This. Okay, because I am a messy, messy person. My husband always says, "You're a hot mess, Kim." Yes, I am. All right, color matching today. Let us try to match some colors. These have both fallen off my plants, so no plants were hurt in the making of this video. You should know. Do love my plants. All right. So first, what's in a color? What's in a name? Okay, unlocking my iPad. That's the first step. This is from our previous video we looked at, right? So this is our color wheel, and this is me showing you that's your cad yellow, your blue, your ultramarine blue, your cad red, and seeing that between cad yellow and blue we have a desaturated green. But if you add a green out here on the main color wheel, in fact, I should probably shrink. It makes sense to shrink that like outer circle because that blue would be on that outer circle. Anyways, it's okay. If you're mixing a color can be described in 3 terms. What are they? Pause the video now and ask yourself this question. What are they? All right, you're back? Okay. Hue. What is the outer color of the object we're looking at, right? So this is the hues. We also saw this wheel as well, right? So we have yellow, yellow, orange, orange, red, orange. I can do the whole thing, but I don't think you want to hear that. Going the whole way around. So the color must be described, even black, in terms of its hue. Then, secondarily, what's the next one? Saturation, how bright something is. High saturation, low saturation, perhaps a pot, right? What color is pot? Gray is not on the color wheel. Gray is not a hue. It's a purple gray, perhaps, right? It's a desaturated purple. That could be a lovely metal, right? Third property of color, the value, of course. How bright it is and how dark it is. With only these 3 properties, and no temperature is not one. So temperature is important, extremely important, but it's not technically a property of color. With only these, you can determine and paint the value of different colors. Isn't that wonderful? It's wonderful. It's great. Okay, so here we go. Let's look at these leaves, right? Now, if you're thinking, my God, Kayla, I do not have time to ask these questions of myself when I paint everything. It will very much become second nature. You'll just register things in these terms, right? And more, your hand will just reach automatically for the colors that you need. It is shocking how much my hand, like, I'll be like, oh no, cad red in my head, but my hand's like, alizarin crimson or magenta over here. And you know what? The hand's always right. It's always right. It knows where to go. Speaking of that, do lay your colors out the same way every single time. Or right now, if you want to rechange your colors, do something else, please do, but then keep it in the same fashion, because it is automatic, right? Your hand is going to go to the colors, so that's why. And make the decision. So your body will literally, muscle memory will make the decision before your brain has, and that's why it's really important the colors be in the same general area. Okay, so we'll try mixing a few colors for these leaves, and then I put some tape down to show you something that's very difficult to mix color for, a blue tape, and I'll explain why I consider that more difficult. So this is a leaf, right? But what color is it? Well, what is the hue? It's obviously green. I'm looking over here. Should I grab this out, right? It's green. Is it a yellow green or a blue green? I would say it's probably very green. It's probably, if anything, of a yellow green, but it's definitely not blue green. It's a green hue. Whereas this, you might say, is more of a hue of a yellow green, right? See, notice the difference there, right? It's dark. It's a low value, right? Very dark, depending on exactly how light is hitting it. Maybe a 7, like alizarin crimson is a 9. If you squint, I want you to squint to the screen right now, right? And you look between the 2 of these, this one, and chromatic colors do read as brighter all the time, but this is like a value 9, right? It's very, very dark. You see, this is not quite as dark. So maybe it's a value 7, right? And a desaturated green. It's a low saturation, but it's still like, it's definitely still green. You know, we're not into like, it's not a brown, right? So a very desaturated green would be a brown. But it is, you know, most greens are going to be desaturated to some extent, right? Okay. And also too, once you know these principles, you can, you know, you don't have to paint things obviously exactly how they are. And rarely we do. We have to change things so that they read in perception of the scene. Just because if I mix this leaf right here, mix a perfect leaf, right? Then this leaf is over my painting part of a plant, right? It's not going to be the green I mixed here. It's not, because it's going to be in relation to everything else. So anyways, let's get on with this. Ultramarine blue is a warm blue. So what does that mean? Why is that important? It's already going to add some desaturation naturally into the green that I mix for my leaf. Okay. I get so excited about color mixing, like I truly do. Like you're just gonna see me like right in here, like just be like way too excited. Then I'm gonna try for my yellow ochre. The reason is, and here's the logic in my head that is only happening in my head. I'm gonna say it out loud before I forget to say it out loud. A yellow ochre is a value 4. I'm gonna say. Is it like 3.5? 3 or 4. Cad red is 5. I think yellow ochre is more 4. Cad yellow is 3. Yellow ochre is 4. Cad red is 5. Value 5. This is value 9. It's practically black, right? If I add a value 3, yellow ochre in here, value 4, yellow ochre, between 9 and 4, we are going to get a certain range, right? So this is going to end up being lighter, and obviously my yellow orange, or my, how are you saying that? Yellow ochre is going to be darker. So essentially what I'm trying to say is that by adding yellow ochre in here, I'm already dropping the value very naturally. But of course, we know it would be impossible to drop the value any more than a value 4, which is yellow ochre. This probably just seems like super obvious, right? But it is in fact kind of just part of understanding when colors get more complicated, right? Like what's actually happening between these two, right? Okay, so that has got me, and I also chose yellow ochre because it's farther away on the color wheel, right? So let's do that leaf now. Okay, let's look at where we're at here. This is still pretty dark. I'm out of my yellow ochre, so I could let's just see it here. Let's add some more of the yellow ochre in here. And there's still a bit more to be had, more yellow ochre. Okay. It's still, oops, sorry, let's over here. It's still, look at this, the value is actually really close. Like when I squint at these on the video screen, the value looks almost identical. This is still a value actually in person. It's a little bit lighter, I suppose. It depends the light's hitting it right, you know? But you can, yeah, if you squint at that, value's pretty good, right? But the problem is that it's not yellow enough. This is sort of bluer and cooler, right? And this is more yellow. So that means we're going to need to go to our cad yellow. So I don't know where we're going to end up here, right? I'm just kind of showing you like how I just go about thinking about different colors that I want, right? So now we're going to cad yellow, and you know what? That's pretty close. Like I'm looking at that here. Like if I just stick that on the leaf, you don't even see it, right? Like, so actually we kind of got there, right? Now on the outside of the leaf, we notice that it is a little bit different, right? As in, let's look at this leaf here. So you see how on the outside of the leaf, perhaps because it's thinner, there's more light coming through, I'm not sure. I don't know how all leaves work. It's yellower. So here's a great little bit now. I might say I need this, but I need it a little bit more chromatic. So I can dip some cad yellow into that. And I'm just going to add a bit more because I know I just want to make it a bit more obvious, right? And now I have almost the same value, like half a value lighter. It's lighter because cad yellow. If I said cad orange, I'm so sorry. It's because I'm like painting. I'm not thinking of my words. Cad yellow is a value 3. So that lightened it, which is what I needed because we knew that the outside was a little bit of a increase as a bit lighter value, more chromatic and more yellow, which is how we're describing it in terms of those 3 properties, right? Value, lighter, chroma, higher, hue, shifting to yellow-green. Then we get dark green, yellow, green, and match, right? Really close. Now, maybe we say, the thing is, let's do this. Let's say, oh, I need to be even more chromatic, even more, but I need more green. I need like this, but slightly higher green. If you keep adding cad yellow into this, you're gonna go from there to cad yellow. Notice here, we're not ever going to get to this green. This green is not in this wheelhouse. And the reason is because we started with the yellow ochre. And what the yellow ochre did is it right away was just like boom, 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 knocking your chroma down. That's what it said, right? You would have to mix so much blue and yellow together to essentially make that yellow ochre completely irrelevant in the pile. But it got into the pile, and it's acting as a little agent that's always knocking the chroma down. Let's say we didn't use yellow ochre. You see, this is what I mean by me being way too into this, right? It's fun. This is so fun, you know? And I didn't mention this, but I am mixing. I sent another video, I think. Palette knife. Mixing my palette knife. I do mix like this when I'm painting. All the time. Sometimes things are getting wild and I'm just brush mixing. But, you know, I like to start with some good mixtures, right? This is fun part. And I'm pushing down. See the palette? Down like this. And smoothing, like pushing in to the palette like that. So you're pushing down. Okay, so cad yellow and ultramarine blue. Now, we mentioned before, we knew that cad yellow is a warmer yellow, and therefore it's going to have an inherent neutralizing effect on the green. So now we have this green. Note here, and we'll see if it comes through the video. I need to zoom in. You see that? It does show up. Without yellow ochre. Do you see what a big difference that made? Okay, maybe you just actually snorted and were like, Kayla, it's the same green. But what's so interesting is that I just took yellow ochre out, and we already had cad yellow. Like this pile had cad yellow in it, right? But I took yellow ochre out. Now, yes, the value, the value is slightly increased, right? But this has a higher range of chroma because we only had two colors of the two. We had ultramarine blue, and we had cad yellow, right? And they're far away. Look how far away they are, right? On the color wheel, you know? And this cad yellow leans towards cad orange, so it had a neutralizing effect into it. Let's add a little bit more of that. Let's try to ignore that I'm getting like little bits of this other stuff into the paint here because there's like a fleck of orange there and stuff, right? I can pull it up here, but you can see that if I want to keep going, right? That again, I don't have a cooler, like that's only using cad yellow and ultramarine blue, and that's as chromatic as that green is going to get, right? Okay, so now let's look over here. So I guess actually I should say here, I just want to be clear. None of these greens or this green are going to be used in that leaf, only these two. Yep. I'm not talking about temperature because I could totally go off on a temperature thing. I'm not going to talk temperature or mixing for temperature in this video because I think that's more relative at a larger scale. Okay, sorry, roll my shoulders out. All right. So yes, we have those greens. So what I'm trying to say here is that you ought to be, not ought to be, that sounds too pretentious. You will be aware if you're painting with a set palette, right? That if you had to paint something like this, the cap, see the cap of this marker, right? You're not reaching for this because you know there is no way, no way. Doesn't matter how much white you add into it. Let's add white so we can all be convinced together. Now all my white is dirty, so let's just grab this green here. Remember, adding white to cad yellow is never going to magically increase the chroma. So I can keep increasing the value, but that is a very dull green. It is a beautiful green, but it is a muddy green. It is not, this is like a bright yellow, right? Look at the chroma. I mean, woo, you almost look at this and you're like, ah, my eyes burn from the chroma, right? This is a beautiful green. You might want to have this on your wall. Maybe it's still too chromatic for a wall, but it's not going to be this. It's never going to be this chromatic, right? Okay, so how do we get that chroma? We need another blue. Or, I mean, we could have green directly. You could bring in a direct thing of like green chroma, but let's assume that we only have access to blues. So, we move that out of the way. Let's actually go over here and see, and sometimes you actually just can't mix something. But I have Caribbean turquoise over here. Caribbean, I don't know which one it is, to be quite honest. Okay, that is highly chromatic. That's the color of it right there, okay? This is why I say this is sort of tricky. Actually, let me just do the tape because it's going to be the tape first. Here's the tape, right? If I want to mix to that tape, I've never mixed that tape before. Let's just do this. This is your Caribbean turquoise. This is your ultramarine blue. Let's look at these both together. So we mix this. Which one is closer? This one, right? The thing is, this is so high chroma that you cannot afford, and this is really important, you cannot afford, if you're mixing this, to put a single color on a line. If you're like, oh, is it purple? And you go grab your Opera Rose, you done. I don't know why I did that accent. I apologize. But seriously, you will not find the color again. You would have to add so much more blue into it to that it forgot it ever tasted the taste of Opera Rose, if you kind of get me, right? So, Caribbean turquoise, that's this color here, and also this color, okay? So, it's very close, but what does it need to be? It needs to be, like, slightly towards red, as in this is a little bit, like, greener, and this is bluer. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to add some ultramarine blue into this. Ultramarine blue is right next to it in the palette. And what that does is I'm going to drop the chroma like a smidge. As I'm going from like here to here. Whoop. I'm kind of going, like Caribbean turquoise leans green. It's a green blue. So I'm like pulling it slightly towards blue. It's in between here. The chroma will drop very little because they're so close together. Huh? And there we go. We pretty much have the color. I'm looking at it though, it's a bit greener. Something's a bit bluer. So I'm going to add some more ultramarine blue. And also it looks like the value needs to be darker, which is handy because ultramarine blue is going to, you know, make that a bit darker. Okay. We are looking pretty good. Maybe like, this is where you just get addictive. You just add a little bit more ultramarine blue. Ultramarine blue has red in it. Like it's like a red undertone. I don't know if that's scientifically correct, but that's how I see it. And so, okay. Do you believe me? We're pretty good, right? Here. I'm like, it could be a little bit darker, but that's not bad. But the thing is, if you were like, you start over here with some green and you put green over in this, no, you're not going to be able to get back to that color. So that's the case. Think about that. Think about that in your painting. Where's your blue tape? Where's your blue tape in your painting? Is it in your rose? Because that's very similar. You have this beautiful rose, just the rose. You're looking at like Opera Rose and or quinacridone rose and white. Not for the whole thing, but there will be moments in that where you cannot afford to have anything but the exact colors on a clean white that you need. And that's when, like, the dirty white is fine because I could have dirty white for a bunch of dirty greens, right? But I need a clean white to match this. Okay. Let's see. Let's just actually see here. If I grab some of this Caribbean turquoise here. And I'm just actually saying, I actually don't know that if I could match the lid of that. This is actually from the tube green that moved over. So maybe we can try this experiment together. I'm only painting with it recently just because, you know, I feel like I deserved it. So I treated myself to some tube green, but I never really ever paint with it. Like, I literally 2 paintings. I think we could maybe just about get this color, but it's gonna be close. Let's put that there, like the cap, right? I want to paint the cap. I'm kind of seeing it. I'm seeing like the light side on the left side. And anyways, we'll figure this out. So let's assume I don't have the green for now, and then we'll see if we can make it the green. If I need this to go green, I need to go lighter, I need to go green. Here's the thing, actually. Okay, do you adjust the hue first, or do you adjust the value? Well, only experience will tell. Okay, mixing the lid, right? So, Caribbean turquoise, do I add white, or do I start to shift the hue? If you think you might not need white, and I do think I will, but if you think you might not need it, don't put white in yet. Lighten with yellow or lighten with orange, lighten with the other color, because it's going to first bring it down. If you can avoid putting white in, then do it. So let's try lemon yellow. Why lemon yellow, not cad yellow? Let's try both. This is lemon yellow. Okay. And we can see that naturally lightened it. do have two like semi-transparent, actually fully transparent, and semi-transparent colors here. And let's try, I'm truly scraping the bottom of my pile of cad yellow here. Let's try a smidge of cad yellow. Okay, what's the difference? More chromatic. The cad yellow is less chromatic when mixed with the Caribbean turquoise than lemon yellow. Why is that? Pause the video and ask yourself this, if you don't know. The Caribbean turquoise is a green blue. This is my cool yellow. They are very close in the color wheel. If I go to the Caribbean turquoise and an orange or yellow, which is my cad yellow, they're farther away. So there's a natural neutralization happening. That's not a bad thing. It all depends on the color mixing. If I had to mix a different color leaf, like maybe this one, right? That's actually pretty close to that leaf. This is a bluer leaf than this one. So, you know, like maybe I'd be adding some more cad yellow into that. And I could be saying, okay, maybe that's, I don't know, right? Maybe that's the color here. Now, this is way too chromatic, so I won't go into that. But anyways, you get the idea. Less chromatic. Sorry, and this is more chromatic than my leaf. My leaf is very dull compared to it. But this is more chromatic. Okay, so we take that away because, like I said, we are trying to mix the cap of the marker and we need chroma. Now, this actually, like, the cap of the marker is pretty dark, right? So this is sort of pretty close, actually, like just without even adding any white into it. I'm getting closer than I thought I was going to get, to be honest. But it's probably hard to read on the camera. Let's see here. As in, I guess what I'm saying is, I basically have just mixed the dark side of this cap. Do you see that? But obviously not the light side, right? And here I'm kind of looking at it at a weird angle. So you can see that disappeared? And that's just lemon yellow, Caribbean turquoise, high chroma. Hue is a blue-green. Look at the difference here. High chroma blue-green, low chroma warm green, or just green. And I mean, compared to each other, that is a much warmer green than this one, right? But let's say I want to mix the light side of the cap. Okay, let's just add a little bit of white. Okay, hold it up. Looks very close, doesn't it? Now, when I look at this, my color is yellower than the light side. Just a smidge. It's not very obvious, but just a smidge is a bit yellower, right? And the reason is because, I'll bring up temperature for the very first time. We're going to do a whole temperature thing with the milk tutorial. Because the light on this is cool, which means that adding white will cool this down naturally. But it's going to lean a bit more blue. So if the right dark side of this was warm, it's going to be a warmer green. Now, none of these greens are warm, as in all these greens here are cool greens, right? But the dark side will be slightly warmer than the light side. So add in a little bit of your blue to bring that mixture into the blue range, because blue is cooler than yellow, right? Add a bit more. Now I might need to add some white to knock it back down again. But you know, don't really figure this out. It's just to compare and just ask yourself, like, what's the problem, right? But like, if you didn't know that you had a certain range for these paints, then you know you could be struggling here for a while. So we see that this is somewhere in the transition color, but it's too dark. See that? It's too dark for the light. Add a bit of white. That was too much white. My bad. All right, I'm not going to keep playing with this. So I will just do this one more. Hold this up. Okay. So that actually, you see, now it's a bit too lighter. So I would have to go back and add some more Caribbean turquoise and some lemon yellow again. I'm not going to do that. But that would definitely be fine to paint with. It's very close. And usually I tend to exaggerate, depending on where the object is. I'm going to exaggerate the modeling of the object. Dark, transition color, light side, right? Okay, so that's that. Do we want to try to mix this? I'm kind of like, you know what? I feel like we sort of already hit into that. You know, let's just try this. Let's see. Yeah, let's just do quickly here because we never did do this leaf. This outer color, I'm just like, should we just take this and say like, okay, so if I look at that, It's not very visible. Okay, yeah, you can see it. This here is a little bit lighter than this. I've cheekily just grabbed a little of my Caribbean turquoise. It was in my white. So just add white to lighten this. And also, the reason why I was like cheekily added a bit of the Caribbean turquoise is the yellow on the outside of this leaf is a bit bluer. So actually, I'm just gonna, that's probably gonna be too much. I'm gonna add a bit of the blue that I've just been mixing of a very light green, right? So it's bluer, and yep, increase the chroma a little bit too much. Just looking at this, yep, just got a smidge too much chroma in there. Let's just see if I can just, here's like a random pink. Opposite of green is red. This is pink, right? Either of these are going to warm this up and knock down the chroma a smidge. Hold this up again. Very, very close. Looking at that, I'm closing one eye, I'm squinting at that. I mean, I think that's nearly dead on. Could be, I'm looking at it a little bit warmer. That means maybe a bit of cad yellow in there. You see, we're just kind of playing around, but look, we got the color. So that's the color on the outside of that leaf. And, oh, poor leaf. Okay, so I think, you know what, let's stop there. So we looked at a good range. I think next what we need to do is look at mixing. We're going to mix the light and dark side of a glass of milk, and then we'll really see how we look at colors relative to other things, because this is a fun exercise and it's a good starting point, but it's not how I'm really going to mix colors for everything in like a scene that I'm looking at, right? Maybe like they're all going to be adjusted based on other colors and also shifting the temperature. So we haven't talked about temperature yet. We'll talk about that next time. And yeah. All right. Well, thank you for watching. Happy painting, happy color mixing, and I'll see you next time. Bye.